For TimesOnline.com, Chris Mueller, Chris Bradford bringing you a mandatory minicamp report from the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex. The Steelers just went through 2 of 3 minicamp practices here today, Chris. It was a hot one out here. Temperatures in the low 90s, but the Steelers did get some good work in. The news highlighting today was the signing of first-round pick TJ Watt. Now all 7 of the Steelers draft selections are under contract. The Steelers can move on from that. Has to be a good sign that they got their guy, especially the most important piece of that draft class now under contract.
Yeah, the Steelers really have liked what they've seen so far from TJ Watt, but you have to caveat everything by saying, well, it was only in without pads on, so we'll see later in July when the Steelers do get out on the field for real, see what TJ Watt is really like as a football player. But you can see already his athleticism. The players talk a lot about his preparedness and his work ethic off the field. Mike Tomlin earlier this week said, kind of downplayed that a little bit, said, hey, let's wait until let's see what happens when we get out to Latrobe, and I think that's when we'll get a better idea of where TJ Watt is at.
Right, and what's interesting, I got this from him, I believe it was yesterday, because there are still things you can pick up on as an offensive lineman and a defensive lineman without pads when you're pass rushing. And he kind of emphasized that in this setting, you can focus a lot more on your hand work because you can't bull rush an offensive lineman. You have to be more finesse. You have to have pad level control. So, I mean, what have you seen from him out here? I think he's looked pretty good. Now, he's a rookie still, but he's done some good things in the pass rush.
Yeah, in the past 2 days, I saw a couple of really good plays from TJ. Yesterday was batted down a Ben Roethlisberger pass. Today was a return to fumble for a touchdown. Quote-unquote a fumble. Martavis Bryant dropped the ball on the end around, and Watt took it to the house. But again, football without pads. We'll see what happens later this summer.
Another thing we heard about TJ throughout OTAs and minicamp is he's a quick learner. Outside linebacker coach Joey Porter spoke to the media this morning. He kind of pointed to Watt's defensive scheme at Wisconsin, how it was really similar to what the Steelers run here, just different terminology. So that being said, with the role that Watt will likely hold this season, it's a positive that he's already kind of getting a good grasp for what they're trying to do out there.
Yeah, that's huge at this point, that he played in a 3-4 defense at Wisconsin, that he can come in really just learning the different terminologies that you mentioned. No one's saying that T.J. Watt is going to replace James Harrison, so don't worry. James Harrison will still be out there, but at some point, maybe later on in the season, if Watt continues to develop like he is, it is possible that he could be the Steelers starter by the end of the season.
And another news, Chris, the Steelers announced this morning that they have released former Hopewell product Russell Shell. Shell was doing some work in OTAs and minicamp, but an unfortunate end for a local Beaver County guy here at the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex.
Disappointing, I'm sure. I tried to speak to Russell a little bit earlier today. He declined to comment, but obviously disappointed. You don't want to get cut in minicamp. He says he was hampered a little bit by an injury. He didn't want to get into it too much, but anytime you're injured and you're not able to go, things like these happen.
Thanks for staying with us, everyone. We'll be back tomorrow for our final minicamp report from the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex.